Hi everyone, Eva here. Hope you are having a wickedly awesome day. I am the owner and founder of My Sleeping Baby, and today is Friday. So every Friday, I answer one mom's question in the My Sleeping Baby Facebook community, and it's also known as the Friday Focus question. And today's question I'm going to answer is from Stephanie. And her question is, my 20-month-old is regularly waking up at 5 a.m. and my husband needs to rock him back to sleep. If we let him scream, he wakes up my daughter. He also often feeds him a pouch before bedtime and sometimes at that 5 a.m. wake up because he doesn't settle for an hour. We sleep trained him and weaned my son from nursing about 2 months ago as he was waking 1 to 3 times a night to nurse. My husband is the only one who can put both my son and to bed, and my 4-year-old daughter, they scream at me and they fight bedtime every night. My husband is sleep deprived because he wakes up 1 to 2 times a night for my son. I am looking for suggestions because I'm seriously useless right now and my husband needs sleep. Oh my goodness. First of all, I'm really sorry to hear that you guys are going through this. So here's the good news. The good news is this is all very fixable. Now, it sounds on the one hand, you have definitely made huge progress with your 20-month-old. You mentioned that he was falling asleep while nursing, waking up 1 to 3 times a night to nurse. So the fact that he is completely night weaned, Stephanie, is fantastic. Now, I want to, it sounds like there's two issues here, two main overarching issues. Number one, the fact that he's still waking up at nighttime and early for the day. And number two, the bedtime battles. So what I want to first talk about is your 20-month-old's night wakings. So as I said, it sounds like you've made progress, but it doesn't sound like things are nearly as good as they could be. You see, a healthy 20-month-old is perfectly capable of learning how to fall asleep on his own and sleep straight through the night until the morning. So the fact that you've been at this for a couple of months already, but yet he's still waking up multiple times a night tells me that there's something probably a little bit off with the execution. And I suspect that your husband is rocking him back to sleep whenever he wakes up at night, just because you mentioned that he's rocking him back to sleep at 5 a.m. So here's the thing. When you are executing a sleep training approach of any kind, and we are in essence teaching a toddler in this situation that he needs to put himself back to sleep on his own, then that means that we need to be 100% consistent with that. So it's not enough to just teach him how to fall asleep unassisted at bedtime. It's equally important that he learn how to put himself back to sleep throughout the night, including that 5 a.m. wake up. Because you see, here's the good news. Number one, he doesn't need to eat at 5 a.m. As long as he's healthy and there's no concerns on your pediatrician's end, he doesn't need to be eating breakfast at 5 o'clock in the morning. 5 o'clock in the morning for our purposes is nighttime. The second thing that I want to address regarding this particular overarching issue was that you mentioned your concern with sleep training him at nighttime and the fact that it might wake up your older daughter. So here's how we kind of have to look at this issue, because it's a very common one. People are very concerned. They don't want their older one waking up and then your entire family is up in the middle of the night all night long. The good news is that as long as it's done properly and consistently and correctly, it's a short-term problem. And if your daughter happens to get woken up when you're in the thick of addressing this nighttime behavior head on, you have to look at it as though it's collateral damage. So in other words, it's gonna suck. It's not going to be fun to have 2 kids up in the middle of the night. But at the end of the day, it's going to be impossible to get your 20-month-old sleeping through the night if he doesn't learn how to put himself back to sleep. So my biggest suggestion would just be, warn your 4-year-olds in advance what might be happening. One of you go to her, one of you go to him. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't be changing up your sleep plan just to protect her sleep. Because again, this should be, when done properly, it should be a short-term process. This is not the type of process that should take months and months on end. So don't let a sibling get in the way of tackling your 20-month-old's sleep problems. Just, you got to tell yourself it has to get worse in order for it to get better. Just keep repeating that mantra over and over and over again when you're dealing with two kids up in the middle of the night. But at the end of the day, if he's waking up and expecting to get rocked back to sleep, there's technically nothing stopping him from continuing to wake up with those exact same expectations. So with regards to your 20-month-old's night wakings, that's what I would suggest. Now, the second problem that you've brought to our attention are the bedtime battles that you're experiencing with your kids, that your kids only want your husband, that they refuse to have you put them to bed. So here's the thing. Whether or not mommy does bedtime or daddy does bedtime is not a decision that they are in a position to be able to make. So in other words, I think that they have a little bit too much control over bedtime, specifically aspects of bedtime that they're just not old enough. They're nowhere near old enough to be able to decide for themselves. So if mommy is doing bedtime because daddy's not home or daddy's busy, then I would stick to that. And yes, you may get some pushback from them. Explain to them beforehand. I mean, your older one in particular, explain to this beforehand, but there's definitely a bit of a power struggle happening at bedtime. And I totally can appreciate that it's much easier to kind of just give in for the purposes of avoiding a full-blown meltdown from your kids. But at the end of the day, we're not expecting anything unreasonable of them, right? If they're gonna have if the two of them are gonna have a big meltdown because mommy does bedtime instead of daddy, as I said, it's not something that unreasonable. So they're gonna push back because it's different than what they're used to, and I guess maybe they're used to getting what they want around bedtime in this specific department. But this is not, it's definitely not a good long-term situation to have on your hands, because if your husband is too tired to do bedtime one day, then you don't want him to be, or he's not home, or he's sick in bed, and or he you want to be involved with bedtime as well. It's just not a good situation to have on your hands. So I would just kind of make it very, very clear to both kids. I mean, in particular, your 4-year-old. I would imagine that your 20-month-old might just be feeding off of your 4-year-old, that sometimes mommy's going to do bedtime and sometimes daddy's going to do bedtime. And this is just the way it's going to be. Instead of giving her kind of a say in the matter, you can give her a say in terms of, maybe what story she reads, or what bedtime song she has, or what cup she drinks from, what toothbrush she uses. There are lots of age-appropriate decisions that she can make around bedtime, but which parent puts her to bed every night, I would take that decision out of her control, because it's not something that she should be able to have a say in, really. So I hope that was helpful. Now, for those of you, including Stephanie, if you're listening to this right now, who might need some really concrete, who are looking for some concrete advice on how to tackle your little one's sleep challenges, in particular, how to tackle your toddler's sleep challenges, definitely check out my Sleep Bible program. As I've said, it includes, the way that the program works is that you get access to my extensive library of detailed step-by-step training videos, and there is a whole section dedicated just to toddler sleep training. So it is, catered to this specific issue, because of course, as we all know, that sleep challenges with toddlers are a whole other can of worms than sleep challenges with infants. And so for $39 a month, you get access to that entire library of videos, a members only Facebook group where I'm in the group every single day answering everyone's questions. And you also get access to regular bi-monthly, so that's twice a month, group calls where I go on Facebook Live and delve into everyone's questions in much more detail. So definitely check that out, mysleepingbaby.com/sleep-bible, or you can just go to mysleepingbaby.com and click on the link to the Sleep Bible program. Anyways, I hope this was helpful and that you all have a great day and a wonderful weekend. Take care. Bye-bye.